As you can see, I'm not in a lighthouse today. I'm in the engine room of the World War II era tug Ludington. This tug was built in 1943 for the US Army, and it was used in the D-Day invasion to shuttle ammunition barges across the English Channel. So this tug was built in New York State and then sailed across the Atlantic Ocean to Europe, took part in the war in Europe, and then after the war it was sailed back across the ocean and ended up in service under the Army Corps of Engineers on the Great Lakes, helping to build harbors. In the early 1990s, the engine failed and effectively rendered the tug a museum. The tug was given to the city of Kewaunee and has been a museum here since then. The reason I'm down here is because this is one of the stops on our harbor walking tour on June 7th. We have 3 tour times available, and for a $25 ticket for an adult, you can be led around the city, around the harbor, by a local guide who's going to take you through some of these interesting places. The tour is going to start at the world's largest grandfather clock, which we have here in Kewaunee. You'll learn about how that clock came to be in Kewaunee, and then you'll head right next door to the Fire Museum. There's a bunch of old fire apparatus that's inside the museum. Normally the museum is only open for special tours. You can call ahead and get a tour that way, but it's not normally open to the public. So that's a really cool opportunity that you'll be able to take part in. Then you'll walk across the street and you will tour the Ludington from top to bottom. You can sit in the chair that I'm sitting in. You can explore the engine room. You can explore all the way up to the pilot house. It's a really cool way to see what the technology was back in the 1940s. And the crazy part is this technology was still relevant up until the 1990s. When the engine failed, you would have to essentially do an entire engine swap. And the short story is that the Corps of Engineers can do pretty much the same amount of work with a smaller boat that takes less people. So there was no need to replace the engine. The boat had outlived its service career and it was retired. But now we have it as a really cool living history museum. Once you tour the tug, you'll be led along the harbor wall. You'll see the original railroad depot. You'll see across the harbor, you'll be able to see the remnants of the old car ferry docks. You'll hear about why those car ferries were so important to Kewaunee. Walking a little bit further, you'll see the life-saving station, which has been a private residence since the 1960s. You'll see the anchor from a barge that was wrecked here a few years before the life-saving station was built. You'll hear the story about that barge and the men who drowned with it. And then you'll walk out to the Kewaunee Lighthouse and you'll get a full tour of that. The lighthouse isn't open to the public that day. So your tour group will have the lighthouse all to yourselves. We have 3 tour times available to choose from. You can go to our website, that's Kewaunee Pierhead Lighthouse.org/harbor-tour to get your tickets for it. Also on June 6th, on Friday, the tours are on Saturday. On Friday, June 6th, I'm going to be downtown right outside the tug here at the Harbor Park, and I'm going to be giving demonstrations of fog signal technology, starting from a cannon, small cannon, to a steam whistle, to a horn called a diaphone, And then we are actually going to be sounding the horns on the tug, because that is another type of horn that's called a diaphragm horn that uses two metal plates that slap together to create the sound. Not only are we using the tug's horns to demonstrate that style of horn, but we're also using it to commemorate the anniversary of the D-Day landings, which was June 6, 1944. So if that interests you, those tickets are also available on our website. That's KewauneePierheadLighthouse.org/fog-signals. You can get your tickets for that there. Ticket proceeds benefit the ongoing restoration of the Kewaunee Pierhead Lighthouse, and a small portion of those proceeds do come back to the tug. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you at one of our tours.